Shalom Akim, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rakadash, Barakatham, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rakadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone, who will teach well, who taught us his truth. This is the Billy Hashem Life and GMS Atlanta camp. And I just want to do a quick video going into you know, these Chaldeans being raised up to do what they have been purposed to do, right? Because what does Revelations chapter 6 and I believe it's 4, if not 5, about the red horse was sent out to take peace from the world, which we know that that red horse is going into Esau, Edom, right? It said, and then furthermore, it said that matter of fact, we'll just go ahead and pull it. I wanted to start off with Habakkuk. uh, yeah, verse 4, it says, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, right? And so we understand that this power was given to him in Genesis 39 and 40. Esau's blessing was the sword. See, and that's one thing that Esau Edom himself doesn't want to acknowledge, that the power that he has isn't something that he's done on his own, right? But it was given unto him, right? Job 9 and 24 says the world is given to the hand of the wicked, right? And we know who the wicked is, according to Malachi 1 verse 4. But continuing on, it says, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword, right? And again, that goes back to that Genesis 27, man. Esau even being given that sword. And so the purpose of this video goes into an article, and I'm sure that brothers have seen this and videos of it, but I want to start off with this Habakkuk 1 and a 6, right? It says, for lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, right? And matter of fact, I quoted it earlier. Let's get it on this other Bible app here. Let's get Malachi 1 verse 4. It says, whereas Edom says, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh Shemel Shai of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. Right. And so we know that this verse is going into, Revelations 20, when the Most High put a zeal on these Edomites, right, and send them running unto the caves. But now what? Now those Edomites have returned, right? Revelations 13 goes into the beast whose deadly wound was healed, right? This is that revived ancient Roman Empire. This is that last beast spoken about in Daniel 7. All right, but the Most High has let them come back into their lap. See, just as the spirits of the prophets are subject unto the prophets, right? Meaning that if you understood the truth, if you were if you understand the truth now, it's because you were a prophet in your past time. Well, the same thing applies to those on the left hand side, right? Doesn't the book of Second Ezra says that he makes all things in pairs, right? He makes evil. Uh, Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Romans 9 goes into that. One vessel for glory and one vessel for dishonor. The Most High works in balances. So, I bring that up to say that Yahweh Shai himself is allowing the Chaldeans to be raised back up, right? He's doing this. Proverbs 21 verse 1 says, the heart of the king is in the hand of Yahweh. He turneth whithersoever he wants, as rivers of water. See, what we see is the Chaldeans being raised up, just as the Chaldeans, the ancient Babylonians, were raised up to take the southern kingdom into captivity. Man, the there's the new and great Babylon, right, which is America. They have been raised up, man. See, the northern the ICE Gestapo started with the Northern Kingdom, but now the spirit of the Chaldeans has been raised once again, and now they're going after the Southern Kingdom, man. It says that bitter and hasty nation which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. And that's the topic of this video. I want to get this article here because we see this happening. We see Esau Edom marching throughout the country, the breadth of the land, marching throughout the entire globe, taking, that which is not his, because again, what's the scripture say? He he is as hell, he cannot be satisfied, right? He wants everything, man. This is why, it's so when we came into this truth, understanding the history and the what's that fancy word? The modus operandi, right? We understand how this bastard works, man, right? We've seen what he's done, and so when you come into this truth, man, it could be a stumbling block for most, but to us, it was a stepping stone, right? We saw how America was built. We saw how they operate on the global scale. And so when the scriptures are brought up and they call Esau Edom the self-proclaimed white, it was a stepping stone for us because he's still doing it to this day. He's going through the breadth of the land and he's taking land that is not his. This is an article from ABC News that says U.S. military flew supersonic B-1 bombers up the coast of Venezuela. It says the U.S. military flew a pair of supersonic heavy bombers off the coast of Venezuela on Thursday, a little over a week after another group of American bombers made a similar journey as part of a training exercise to simulate an attack. And because that's how this devil operates. See, again, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has raised the spirit of the Chaldeans again, man. Right? He's put that evil thought into uh, the mind, right? In the same way it's spoken about in Ezekiel 38, right? But we see this bastard, doing these exercises on the coast of Venezuela. Why? Because he's trying to antagonize, man. How many boats have, has this guy blown up? Without any due process, right? Because look, let's say that out of the 5 or 7 boats that they blew up, let's say 2 of them actually had drugs. Okay, well, what is the stiffest punishment that a drug dealer can get in America? Probably like 20 years, right? 15 years, depending on the amount of weight. But this dude's not doing that, man, right? He's not applying his law unto the Israelites, man. He's just taking them out, man. And so all this is just provocation. Why? Because the devil is provoking. Uh, he's trying to provoke Venezuela to attack. Why? So that he has an excuse, man. So that he has an excuse to say, oh well, yeah, our jets probably shouldn't have been on the coast of Venezuela for 3 weeks. Yeah, we probably shouldn't have sent a bunch of airship carriers, but even though we shouldn't have been there, this stray bullet hit the vessel, so now we got to take you out because that's how they operate, man. Says the U.S. military has built up an unusually large force in the Caribbean Sea, right? But at the same time, I thought Trump was supposed to be the president of peace, right? Wasn't he whining, talking about the Nobel Peace Prize was a joke because he didn't get it, but yet he's bombed Iran. He's given weapons to Israel to bomb its neighboring countries. He's talked about taking Greenland from Canada, right? He's talked about taking the Panama Canal, and now check out what he's doing. He's antagonizing another country, man. How was that peace, man? Again, matter of fact, we'll pull that precept. Let's let's get that. His words were smooth as butter. His words smooth. Right, right. Here we go. His words were smooth as butter. Psalms 55 and 12. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, right? And of course it is, I mean, these scriptures point to who the devil is, man. So much, there's so much war in the heart of this devil that, again, he renamed it from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. It's in his heart, man. Why? Because the truth has been coming out about who this devil is, man. Jeremiah 49 says, I shall make Esau bare, man. this bastard is naked, man. The emperor has no clothes. He's got shame for glory, man. People are starting to look into 9/11. People are starting to, you know, every false flag is not doing what it's supposed to do. And that's scripture too, man. Doesn't the scripture say stand out, stand down, stand out with thine enchantments? Why? Because they're not working anymore. Because see, prior, you look at things like the Gulf of Tonkin, right? Which that was a false flag, but it was an excuse used to put America into the Vietnam War. Those same false flag operations, they're not working anymore, man. The Most High's not dealing with these people, man. And that's how we know that we are at the end times. It says, his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Again, oh, I'm here for peace, but but uh but then what's he doing? He's drawn out the sword, right? And he's done that through his air force right here. It says, in the waters off of Venezuela, raising speculation that President Trump could try to topple Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and face charges of narco terrorism. All right. And why would he face charges of narco terrorism? Because these devils, through their law, through their power, right? Job 9 and 24 says the earth is given. So that's all of what's in the earth. That's the rule of law. That's the food. That's the water. That's the government. That's the banking system. Everything in this earth has been given unto him. And specifically, what I want to get into in this precept is the law, right? The law has been given unto him. Now, I know that there's that precept that we like to bring up, and in context is used against our people, but the scripture says in Second Timothy that the word of Yahweh Shai is sharper than any two-edged sword, right? So we can use that scripture that says, "Woe to them that write unrighteous decrees," right? Because that applies to Esau, Edom, and that lines up perfectly with wisdom of Solomon too. It says, "Let us oppress the poor righteous man." All right. This is the mentality of these wicked Edomites, man, of these self proclaimed whites, man, because they're not whites. They have named themselves that. But this is the thought. The thought is that they want to oppress the poor man, which who is that poor man? Well, the poor man is Israel. All right. They want to oppress the poor man in America, through ICE and through the National Guard, Northern and Southern Kingdom. But then that's still not enough for them. Now they have to go across the globe to Venezuela, right? And now they have to oppress that the poor man there. All right, why? Because according to the prophecy, Asher shall dip his foot in oil, right? Going into how Venezuela, it has the world's largest oil reserves, and that's why he's doing it. He's not doing it because he's dealing drugs. These people don't care about you, but that's the excuse. That's those smooth words, man. It says it says, "Let us not spare the widow." And again, this is talking to the Israelites. Why? Because for a minute we were separated, man. Right? We didn't know who we were. Right? Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai gave us a bill of divorce, and He separated us. We didn't have a husband, man. But now we've been brought back into the truth, and now we have the protection. Now we're calling upon Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and He hears the prayers. He sees what's going on. Doesn't the scripture say, the prayer of the righteous man availeth much? Who is the righteous man? Well, the righteous is going into Israel, man. It says, let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Again, going into Israel. But here's the point, because what did the article say? Trump's excuse for going into Venezuela is because Maduro is dealing drugs, and he wants to bring him. He wants to charge him with narco terrorists. Well, hold on a minute. Why is he facing on narco terrorism? Wisdom of Solomon 2:11. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. And what did he do? What's the very first thing? Trump did right here. It says following Donald Trump's inauguration, his administration formally designated the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization and specially designated global terrorists, man. So again, let our strength be the rule of law. They write these unrighteous decrees so that they can go in and take land from you, man. All right. And so at this point, man, if our people can't see that Esau Edom is the devil with so much being exposed, so much thing, man, that's why the scripture says 2/3 of our people have to be taken out. Because if Trump really cared about American lives being lost to drugs, why is he renewing contracts with Pfizer? Check this out. Um, Trump boasts Pfizer contract, something like that. Let's see if it pulled it up. Trump boasts Pfizer contract fact announces first deal. MFA right here. September 30th. Yeah. I think that's pretty recent. Says Donald Trump announces first deal to bring most favored nation. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But uh, let's see here. Trump announces contract investment Pfizer. No, uh, it's not pulling it up here. It says Trump Pfizer agreed to lower agreement. Pfizer with Trump pays off for investors. Trump announced deal with Pfizer to lower drugs. Now, this isn't what I'm trying to find, man. Which, by the way, the fact that you cannot find media coverage that we're looking for shows you that Donald Trump, in his second term, has sold out. Why? Because in his first term, you couldn't find nothing good about him, but now you even have NBC News, you have CNN, showing favorable news articles to Trump. Why? Because he sold out. He's one of them, man. All right. He never gave a fuck about you, man. But the article that I'm looking for is basically Trump announced that the government was going to give a contract to Pfizer so that they can develop some more vaccines. So the question is if you have Pfizer, right, who is responsible for a lot of deaths, all right, through their legal drugs, why aren't you going after them, but you want to go after the poor man? You want to go after Israel? It doesn't make sense. And it's only because of the oil reserves, man. That's the only reason why. So now let's go back to um, Habakkuk, and let's close it up with chapter 2, verse 5. Said, yea, also because he transgresses by wine. And we know that wine is the philosophy, right? He sins by, putting together a philosophy, aka writing new laws, all right, sanctions. He sins by having everybody agree that what he does is for the right reason, why he's invading Venezuela for the right reason. It says he is a proud man. And that's exactly what he is, man. Wasn't Trump boasting about the weapons that America has that nobody has ever seen? What wasn't isn't he building that ballroom, right? And what's that precept? I think that's Psalms 49. Their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever. And Salakia for quoting the precept. This is an intro in the video. It says, neither keepeth at home, right? Because here it is, you're supposed to be the number one country, right? Supposed to be mega over here, but yet you still have to go and try to plunder other countries. So is it really mega? Is America really the number one country? Because when you look at the things that China has to offer, America looks like a third world country. Take a look at the cars that China builds. Take a look at their infrastructure. Take a look at the infrastructure of Russia, man. Is America really mega? So then, if America really is the best place, why are you going throughout the entire globe then? I mean, that's like like that kid in high school talking about, oh, I'm rich, I got all the brand new games, I got an Xbox 360, PS2, PS3, got all these video games. So why aren't you at your fucking house playing them? Why are you over here with us playing marbles, dude? Because he ain't got it, bro. That's like it. It says, It says, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as debt, and cannot be satisfied, but gathers unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people, man. And that's ultimately going to be the way that this place goes down, man. Same thing in ancient Rome when they started to to let the gods in, right? And the gods ended up rebelling against the Roman Empire, and it fell apart. It fell apart from the inside. And that's what's happening here. This is supposed to be that great melting pot, a term, by the way, which was coined by a small ad. But the point is the same thing's going on here, man. And Second Ezra talks to us about uh, 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 a civil war, man. Why? Because he's heaped unto him all people, man. Let me see if there was any more on that article. If not, I think the point has been made. Um, says, uh, yeah, adding to the flight tracking data, a pair of B-1 Lancer bombers took off from Texas and flew through the Caribbean and up the coast of Venezuela, man. I mean, what more do you need to see? That Esau is the wicked, that, America, the self-proclaimed whites, are Esau, right? His blessing was the sword, man. Salakia, yeah, for the excitement, but as you know, people get excited for different things, man. Some people will scream for fucking football and sports. I get excited on the scriptures. I get excited on prophecy, man. This is an exciting thing. So, but Salakia, you know, um, for the excitement, man. This is our scripture. This is our heritage. We couldn't understand what Habakkuk was talking about prior to coming into this light. So this is exciting news, man. On to the next one, Shalom.